think
You make it
that
sound
is
like you're Amish. Like you live in this
no, it was
community.
like this bougie as like, you know, Park City gated community that we lived in for a little bit, and it was cool. But then once the drama started, you realize that the people in those spaces, they were more about the drama than they were about what the kids were going through.
I'm August Black, and this is Certified Bad Example, where we take real parenting moments that make you pause and ask, who approved this?
And I'm Jamil Mayers. We're not here to teach, we're here to talk about it. Different opinions, real perspectives, and what we do instead, preferably before somebody ends up grounded, crying, or in a group chat getting roasted.
Because every situation is a choice.
And some of y'all are choosing chaos.
This is Certified Bad Example. Follow, share, and hold on tight.
All right, guys, welcome back to Certified Bad Example. This is the podcast where we provide all sorts of pulls and takes from pop culture, if you will, and provide some insights, some background, some thoughts, some commentary. We do what happened last week to what happened last year to what happened 10 decades ago. We just want to, again, find some examples that aren't necessarily the cringe moments, but are more on the educational side. Something happened and we're learning from it during this podcast. My name is Jamil Mayers.
Hey guys, how we doing? I'm August Black, and we are back. Yeah, this is our take on other people's experiences and how we can kind of reframe and give different perspectives. We've got a couple of stories that Jamil and I go back and forth. We tell you what we think, or he reads or I read, and we tell you what you think, and we just kind of move from there. Jamil, you want to start us off with the first story?
Okay, so let's start off with something strong.
Start strong.
All right, so in 2022, Kim Kardashian publicly addressed ongoing co-parenting conflicts with Kanye West after he repeatedly brought private family disagreements involving his children onto social media. The situation escalated when Kanye posted screenshots accusing and frustrating online, or his frustrations online, about parenting decisions, school, and access to children, turning deeply personal disputes into public content followed by millions. Of course, the source on this is everybody's Instagram, but definitely People and CNN. This happened back in 2022. So I don't know if you remember back in the day when that happened, but what was your initial thoughts on that?
When it comes to adults who are in a relationship making their problems other people's personal business, it drives me crazy. I lived through a divorce that became the talk of the town. It was
It
not,
must be a small town.
it was a small town, but it was, we lived in a community, and it was really like the community that kind of dug in and enjoyed the drama. And I think
You make it sound like you're Amish. Like you live in this
no,
community.
it was like this bougie as like, you know, Park City gated community that we lived in for a little bit, and it was cool. But then once the drama started, you realize that the people in those spaces, they were more about the drama than they were about what the kids were going through. And I think that is where parents and adults need to kind of recognize that, yes, your feelings are super valid and your pain is valid and your experience, it is happening to you, but you're also like, you putting that stuff online, that affects your kids. That affects your kids, your co-parent. That affects the way that you guys can communicate to each other. It's just
Okay,
like,
so let me be devil's advocate. Your kids are young enough to not be on social media. So how does that affect your kids?
Okay, that's a good point. I think that if you are sharing stuff with the internet, like Kanye did, like he's sharing stuff with the internet. I'm sorry, my cat is going nuts in the bathroom right now. Todoroki.
Todoroki?
Todoroki, yeah. Todoroki. Like an anime
That's so
character.
cool.
Yeah, it's my favorite anime. I actually finished it last night.
Get over here, Todoroki. I love it. And now the dog chimes in.
Yeah, everyone's going on it today. Okay, so I think when we're going through hard times, our circle of people, our friends, our counselors, our family, they're the people that we get to talk to shit talk to unload on. But when you have a platform like Kanye West has a platform, and he uses that as a way to demonize or change the narrative. The effect on the kid is the trust that private things will never be private. And even though if the kid is young enough, the mom, Kim had felt that. And that distrust trickles down even if you don't want it to. And I don't know what Kim has been through or what Kanye has been through. I know what I've seen online, and I'm sure that just scratches the surface of what they're dealing with. But I do believe that how you treat your parents, your kids' parents, regardless on which side, affects your kid. How you show up, how you treat them, how they show up, how they treat you, it affects your kid. It affects the way your kid sees you, and it affects the way that your kid treats their parent too. I think that's like the thing.
So I think that Kanye as an individual has several different challenges and issues, and I think mental health is among the most present, right? I think he's offended everyone that ever existed on this planet.
Yeah.
Black people, white people, parents, non-parents, business owners, Jews, everybody.
Yeah.
Because he says the most ridiculous
Outrageous
stuff, the most outrageous stuff, and I don't know where it comes from. I don't claim to understand it. I'm hoping that he gets the help that he needs. A slight departure from what we're talking about, his whole I'm Coming Back tour that just launched like a couple months ago now here in 2026. I'm not a fan of it because I don't believe he is. You can't apologize and they'll go, oh, I'm sorry. I want everybody, I'm on medication. I did bad. And by the way, buy my $350 ticket to come see me.
Yeah. No.
No, this is all tied to promotions.
You sold T-shirts with swastikas on it. You canceled yourself.
But here's the thing: if you're truly apologetic and you're a millionaire, throw 10 concerts for free.
Yeah. Or all donations go to the people you hurt.
Okay.
All tickets.
Now we're
Every
talking
single
about
piece of this all profit goes to helping the Jewish community or helping raise up the Black community in the area that you're throwing the thing. The concert.
This is why I think he's not being sincere, and that's for any celebrity out there. All the apologies in Hollywood will eventually forget. That's all true, but not true for me. I don't think for a while I thought his music was fantastic in certain areas. I just can't pull myself into that. So anyway, back to what we're talking about. I do think kids would be dramatically impacted in this and in other situations, much more so in this one because it's a celebrity type of situation, because you're going to school with other kids whose parents consume this stuff and talk about it.
Yeah.
So while you as a child may not be on social media, you will get a piece of that because now your friend Timmy is like, my mom said, yo, daddy is going crazy online. And then they're like, what are you talking about? So then what do? You go home and go, Mom, I'm hearing from school that daddy's going crazy online. Well, now mom has to either take the high road of saying, hey, dad's having an episode. We talked about, he's having mental struggles. So, he's having an episode online. I wouldn't be concerned about it. Or she can go, yeah, that fool, did this and did that, which is, again, does the back and forth of painting parents in the type of light that the kids have never been exposed. I mean, your dad could be the meanest, ugliest person in the world, but your kid thinks you are the belle of the ball.
Yeah.
So it's like you need to be able to maintain that until your kid has an opportunity to be exposed to that themselves. Now, of course, if that parent is a threat and a danger, you can remove them from the situation. You still don't need to badmouth them until they're of proper age to be able to understand what's happening, but protect the kids for sure.
Protect the kids. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is a wild example of extreme bad behavior that we can all learn from. You don't put your business on social media. Back when MySpace and Facebook first came out, there was always like the status, right? You're married, you're single, it's complicated and all this other stuff. And then you would post like updates on the I fell into this on the very early days of social media. When I was upset with someone that I was either dating or seeing or a friend, I would post on there in a very passive aggressive way that I was upset. And that's what people used to do. And people would break up over stuff like that because they knew who you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, and they knew that you were airing their stuff without consideration for how it might affect them. And it's like, oh, you're going to be upset about this, then I got to be upset about this. And it is one of those like double-edged swords because I do one of my favorite. I'm not going to nail the quote because it's not perfect, but if you wanted me to write this story differently, then maybe you should have treated me better. And it's like, it's like that there is validity in that, but I also believe that when we're posting online, when we're being passive aggressive, we're not writing the story, we're writing down our anger and taking time to kind of heal from the pain and accept the new reality. You can then write your story eventually, and you should if it's worth telling, and I think everyone's is. But that way you're leading from a place of calmness and rationality rather than anger or passive aggression. And I think what you said in this situation is that Kanye struggles with some severe mental health stuff, and he doesn't have that filter to kind of dissociate, like to change. He doesn't really have that filter to change his behavior. I mean, at the end of the day, it seems like he
Just to
doesn't.
stay medicated. That would be helpful.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Just
that
take
I
your
think
medicine,
that
buddy.
I think that's also, you stay medicated because you admit you have a problem and you're like, okay, I have an issue and I need to keep on the medication so that I can kind of
Well,
keep
you
going.
so you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of pride that goes into that and humility, especially
Mhm.
when you have millions of people that are watching everything you do for you to say, I have an issue that I need to take medication for, or I'm not the perfect person that you thought I was. I
Mhm.
cannot imagine what that pressure is, and that has to play such a big role in that. All right, so a couple of different side notes from this one, right? So Kim publicly stated that social media attacks were more hurtful to the children than the divorce itself. Another is one major dispute centered around the daughter Northwest, who, if you've seen her lately, she's grown and she loves to hang out with her dad on stage.
Mhm.
With Northwest's presence on TikTok, with Kanye criticizing the account publicly instead of resolving concerns privately. Oh my God, that's like parenting via social media. I mean, that's
There's
tantamount
so
to
many
being
traps to fall into
bullied.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, imagine being bullied by your parent.
I don't have to. I
Wow.
know what that's like.
We may need to get into that later. All
No, no, sorry.
right.
Too real, too real. No, I mean, I just think, I think your parents' words hold so much weight to have them share their opinion on what you're doing online versus keeping that private. And I think that because Kanye is so open to just sharing his grievances, that maybe he thought like, oh, I can do this to my kid because I do this to my ex. It's fine. It's fine. I never get in trouble for it, or I never really have to live in the consequence. Maybe he does, but it doesn't seem like he ever learns his lesson.
You know what? I think that's part of it too. Consequences aren't as real for many individuals that live at that level. I think
Of
this is a
celebrity.
long game, right? This is a long game. If you think about what happened to kids like Bobby Christina, who is Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston's daughter, and how that turned out, that was a tough situation, living in the shadow of some really really big names. Which, for all intents and purposes, this is exactly that. Kim Kardashian is
Huge name.
bigger than Kanye in a lot of
Yeah,
circles.
I think so.
So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and yeah, that's so funny. My first story is it's kind of similar, in the sense that it's also a famous couple who were divorced and the outcomes of their divorce and how it's affected the kids. But yeah, I do believe that, like, and I want to give like a little bit of grace. Public breakups they're really hard, especially if you were online and then all of a sudden you're not, and you almost always have to release some kind of statement or some kind of like, this is how this is, and people always have questions. And so I think
well,
the
you've been
pressure
there
to,
as a award-winning voice actor.
I have, yeah, and I kept my shit to myself because that was, I knew that if I hadn't, I would have regretted posting things that didn't need to be shared. I do believe that I have my own version of my, existence, and maybe one day my story, I'll share, this experience in my life, but in that pain or in my hurt or in my heartbreak when everything went down, wasn't their time. And it wouldn't have benefited my co-parent dynamic. It wouldn't have benefited the friendship that I need to have with my ex to raise a kid who doesn't have to live with their parents' anger. Like that's what I'm trying to do. I don't want to raise my kid in my anger, or I don't want her mom to raise her in her anger against each other. We don't want that. We're able to sit down and have a cup of coffee and chat about our daughter and make plans to do drop off, and everything is peaceful. And that took a minute. It was, I mean, who wants to also live in that Bo's 5. I want to do that for the next 14 years plus. Like, that's no way. I want to enjoy
Well,
the
listen,
next 14
August, that
years.
sounds very boring. We need to see some fighting, some back and forth, some hair pulling.
I got enough drama to last a lifetime.
Next time.
Next time.
On the third divorce, we're gonna see it.
Yeah. Oh God. Hopefully not. Knock on wood there. I don't need another one. Well, we can move into this divorce, which is also a very public divorce. But right now in Providence, Rhode Island, it is graduation season. So I kind of wanted to see what we had going on for different wins and losses in the graduation, because parents go hard when their kid graduates college. They tend to get rowdy, but also drama tends to occur when people are together or when they don't show up. So this was about the Jolie Pitt family, because I think their eldest daughter, yeah, Zahara Jolie, she dropped Pitt as her last name. And it was this very public thing when she graduated college, that instead of focusing on the fact that she went to school and she graduated, when they read her to cross the stage, they introduced her as Zahara Marley Jolie with no Pitt. And that became the entire story. It was all over the place for a little bit. It was, I think it was pretty recent. But Brad Pitt wasn't there. He didn't show up to his daughter's graduation. And I think their entire thing has been very public, and I think most of his kids at this point have dropped his last name. So we can't really, decide, depict on what kind of parent he is or isn't, or the dynamics between the two. But as someone who lived through a pretty dramatic divorce with my own family and my own parents, and the changing of last names and not showing up and going, and all of those things happened, I kind of wanted a fresh eye on what you think on, even if you're an estranged parent, do you show up?
Oh, so I encourage those watching to give their 2 cents as well, because I want to know if where I'm gonna go is where they went, where you went, and I'm open to different perspectives, right? I don't have a corner. I don't corner the internet on this, but so if you're an estranged parent, I think that showing up uninvited does more damage than good,
Okay.
because it's not like the day before they were like, I don't want you to show up. You've been in my life this whole time. I'm mad at you. I don't want you to show up. And then you
Yeah.
show up anyway. That's going to be like, well, thanks for showing up anyway. I was mad in the moment. You showed up. You were a parent and said, I'm showing up because graduation is important to me. If you're an estranged parent, that means you have not been connected with your child for a while. So then the question to me is, what is the point in showing up at the graduation? To support your child that you're estranged with? To reconnect? Are you looking to then reconnect with everyone who actually showed up at the graduation who may not be a fan of yours? Are you looking to cause a scene?
Good
Okay, so
point.
do you show up, take pictures, take your video, and go home and not say anything to anyone because you showed up to support, not to show everyone that you showed up to support?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Are you making it a show, or are you doing it for yourself? Is it for the kid? So I think that if you're an extreme, if you don't talk to your kids, you're not on that level, you don't have that high level of engagement, then you don't show up.
All
because
right.
it's for family, it's for friends, it's for your ride or dies, it's for the people that've been in your lives. And if you go to graduations these days, seating is very limited. You
Yeah,
can't just
yeah.
show
You
up
have to
because
have
you
a
want
ticket.
to. Exactly. So if you got a ticket, great, but you just took something from someone else somewhere that could have been right.
Yeah,
So how'd you get the ticket? It would be my first question. And then number two, why are you here?
yeah,
If
yeah,
you really want to reconnect with me, do that the day before, a couple weeks, or you could do it after, right? There's no end to that. Do it after.
yeah.
Hey, 6 years ago when you graduated, now that we're reconnected and we're all super tight, I just want to let you know I came to your graduation.
And I just sat there and I watched, and I didn't make it about me.
Exactly. So I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah,
the whole thing. So I don't know what happened with Brad and his. It sounds like there's. I mean, for your kids to decide, I don't want to carry your name. That sounds real serious to me. But I don't know what that story is. But it's probably a good thing that he didn't show up if they've taken the very very serious step of saying legally, I don't want your name.
yeah. Yeah, I think, and I do believe that the parent dynamics, and I don't know if you've done any research, but like parent alienation can be a real thing. And I'm not saying that that's what's happened here. I do think that sometimes you just, you know, you your absence is more positive than your presence, and that can be real even in a parent situation. I understand that. Um, but what you said, and I think I was kind of towing the line on how I would want it. It's not what would I want instead of like how would I show up as my for my kid, but what would I want as the kid in the situation. And if I'm in a fight, I'd still want you there. We're in each other's lives. We're mad at each other right now, but you show up because it matters, and you know what matters, and it matters to me, and I worked really hard to get there. But if we're estranged and you show up, are you showing up for me, or are you showing up to prove that you're still my parent? Are you showing up to prove something that you might not really get to own right now? And in that, I think the best way is like saying, "Hey, I know this is kind of out of the blue and we've reconnected now, but I was there and I got to see you walk and I was very proud of you in that moment. I didn't want to make it about me. I came quietly. I didn't do any. I just wanted to see it because I was proud of you. And then I left. And because we got to reconnect, I get to tell you I didn't miss that moment. And I believe that that's, yeah, that hits the hardest because it
Well,
really
and the
is.
moment becomes something different when you can share the intent of the moment at the right time. She or he, whoever's the child is not ready to hear that you are here today. But when they're an actual adult, 5 years from now, and you say, "Hey, I was there," they can go, "Oh my God," and feel the emotions and go, "I'm so glad you were actually there. Now that we've reconnected, you had that moment with me." So I think it's all that takes such a mature human being to be able to do that. To be able to take the step to say, I want to reconnect with my child now that the timing is right. And you're correct. I don't know. Again, we don't know why they're not connected. It may not even be Brad's fault. I don't know.
You
Brad,
don't
you,
know.
you can come
Yeah.
on the show and talk to us about it.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Welcome to come on the show and talk to us about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Pitt. I would never. Anyway,
How wild would that be?
but I mean, it could very well be the kid and the mom, just like the previous story. There may be some poisoning of the well. I don't know. I'm not
You
saying
don't
that's the
know.
case. I'm
Yeah,
I'm just saying we don't know. So if the kid and the mom were in a position where they're like, we don't want it, then that's what it is. Brad Pitt showing up, Brad Pitt can't sneak and sit in the back.
probably.
That's not gonna happen. Brad Pitt sneaking in the back, it's gonna take the whole front stage turning around to see that Brad Pitt's in the back. So it's a distraction, number one. So the intent on him being there, I'm sure Angelina had the same thing, but when these people show up, it has to be because you are wanted there or you're going to cause a disruption.
Yeah, and I had honestly, I had kind of in the last year, I had two different situations that kind of go along these lines where I was invited to two different weddings. And in one, I had been estranged with the person for quite a few years. And I felt like me going there was going to be a distraction, not only for them, but not really a place I needed to be. And I think if the invitation had come differently with like a conversation instead of just like, here's a link, you're invited, kind of, okay. But it wasn't. It was like, it felt like almost a forced invitation rather than an olive branch, right? And then I had a second situation
Wait,
where we had,
how is the wedding forced? Like, did you feel
it
obliged
was
or not
familial.
obliged, obligated to go?
Yeah, it was a family member, so it was a familial situation where, and it ended up not, and ended up turning into something else, so it was fine. But it was more like there'd been years of no communication, and the invitation came through a second party, and so it was like there was very little like I want you there, more like I'm inviting everybody and you're on that list. And so in that circumstance, as much as I want to see it, I feel like my presence there would be more, I would have a hard time having it not be about my feelings and instead of celebrating somebody else. And so knowing that maybe I wasn't capable of doing it in that moment was the best thing for both people. Where on the flip side, it was another wedding with a friend of mine who we'd had a big disagreement and kind of a fallout, and I was supposed to be in his wedding party. And I got the invitation, and he's like, "You still coming?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I really did want to be there and see his because we're still friends, and it was just kind of a sometimes you have disagreements with people you love and care about. Um, but instead of just kind of like swiping under the rug, I just had a conversation. I was like, we got to clean the air so I can stand up there and be super proud of, everything and show up as the friend to you in this beautiful moment instead of having it be fucking awkward.
Well, that's more than most people would have done, because a lot of people would have just showed up and grin and bear it. And I think a lot of people forget that emotions show up in all sorts of ways. I mean, it's on your face, it's on the way you hold your shoulders, it's on the shortness of your sentence, it's on
Mm-hmm.
that eye move that you made. It's the aura. A lot of people talk about aura. You can't really see aura, but I think you can feel someone's vibe from across the room just on how they're existing in that
Yeah.
space. And I think when you're showing up to an event that's not yours and you're bringing all that baggage, you're just waiting to cause a moment that shouldn't occur. Like, I'd rather you stay home and not bring that. Like, be upset at home.
Yeah. And if you're able to do it, it's because, I think that you've worked through it enough that you're like, okay, I can recognize that I still have feelings in this situation, but my feelings in this situation are smaller than my love for this person, and I still want to be there and be there for them and celebrate them.
So this person was really in love with you and decided to let you know just before the wedding, and it caused a rift. I got it.
Not even close. But we
Not just
did
making
clear
up
the air,
stuff.
and it made the whole thing amazing. It was just like the best time. We reconnected as friends. It was amazing. It was like
Oh,
the
that's
best. It
awesome.
was the best outcome it could have been. Um, but it only happened because I had that conversation. It would have never have happened the way that it happened if that conversation never happened.
Well, good for you for taking that mature step. A lot of adults wouldn't handle it that way. They would bring
Well,
the pettiness to the show.
I hate confrontation, so that's a part of me.
Well, I mean, that conversation is a confrontation in itself. Maybe
It
not a
was.
loud one, but
We
good for
have
you.
to. We have to do it.
Well, we're also, I don't know if your kid was around, but it's also an opportunity to show people that you can and should be able to have those conversations.
Yeah, she was around.
No, she's learning some good stuff. Anyway,
I hope
now
so.
to another story. We'll know in about 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. In 2024, Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher faced intense backlash after character letters they wrote in support of former co-star Danny Masterson became public following his conviction and sentencing for rape. The controversy exploded because both actors had built reputations around advocacy work tied to protecting vulnerable people and combating exploitation. Critics argued that the letters sounded less like support for rehabilitation and more like minimizing serious harm because of personal friendship and history. I don't know if you remember this story or
I
not.
do. I do remember the story.
Yeah, after I get your take, I'll add some additional context around Danny and Ashton and Mila and how they're all kind of tied together.
Well, I know that the only way I know that they're tied is that '70s show.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how I know they're tied. Man, that's tough. I think that we go into life or sometimes in relationships where we have built people up, or we have like this idea of people, but that person who can exist behind closed doors stays hidden. However, when you see it, or somebody else has had to deal with the consequences of it, you have to acknowledge that those two people can exist in the in the same body. That he may or may not be your friend, but are you really going to be a friend to someone who is okay with taking advantage and assaulting another person? Is that the kind of friend that you're okay with? And those two people are both parents. Like, can you flip that on in your mind and be like, would I trust him around my of age daughter in a room where he may or may not like?
So you're going into 10 layers. Let me ask you this. Would you have written a letter?
Absolutely.
Okay. Would it matter if he was or was not convicted, whether you would still engage with this individual?
I mean, I don't know too much about the trial. I don't know too much about the trial, but I do have
I
a
don't,
pretty
but the verdict is
yeah.
right. So
So yeah,
ultimately, he was convicted of that. But there's obviously there's an opportunity for him to not be convicted of that, and that's
yeah.
really based on how good your lawyer is, not necessarily whether you did it or not, right?
No, I don't. I don't think there'd be an opportunity for friendship after that. I do. I do not. Um, there's just like a certain standard of human that's allowed in my life, and that one characteristic drops your human standard below it.
Yeah, I would be interested in what others think about this because it's such a when you are a dad,
Mm-hmm.
it puts things in a much different perspective. Like I cannot have you around my child without this being truly understood, right?
Yeah.
There are allegations out there. There's enough for there to be allegations and for you to go to court and sit in front of people and go through this process. That in itself is enough for me to pull away, whether you are convicted or not, because it's the threat level is high enough that I need now to protect my child and my kid. Now, if it was just me, right? I lived on my own, I wasn't married, and I knew this guy for 15 years. And we were really close friends. I think Danny and Ashton were friends, but I think it was like we're friends because we work together and we hang out, we kick it. But had this show not happened, we probably would have never been friends. Kind of a
Mm.
situation. Rape has it's the physical act of it, but it's also the mental component. Like you have that in you. That's how you see the world. That's how
Yeah.
you approach women,
I'm
right?
allowed to take this.
Yeah, so it's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I can't do that. So I think that them writing these character letters was an attempt to help their friend, but it was also a missed opportunity for them to say, I cannot get involved here because I have a family, I have a following, I have an audience that I need to make sure that they recognize that regardless of who this is, it's not okay.
One in four women experience sexual assault, and one in seven men. So when you think about it
That is
from
so
that
high.
perspective, I have friends who have dealt with this. Um, when you go to bat for someone who is capable of doing that, you're showing the people in your life who may have experienced it, or are dealing with it, or trying to come to terms with it, or haven't said anything and dealt with it in the past, or consistently having issues in this area, that you are not a safe space, because you're condoning that behavior by protecting someone who is willing to take from somebody else for their own gratification. And so there's just there it's a pretty for me, this is a pretty black and white line. It just doesn't I don't know. I would never be able to uncross it once someone, even if they were my closest friend.
I mean, the concept is the same for those who are supporting political candidates today that are obviously in circumstances that have been confirmed
Mm-hmm.
to be an attack against individuals in this country. Donald Trump, a convicted, serial rapist,
Serial rapist.
is the president of our United States today, and there's so many people that are like,
Which
I
you can't
support him
even
anyway.
you can't even vote if you're a convicted felon. So, but you can run the country? Like, I don't get that. And I actually had a situation with my coworker who for all reasons is, I mean, okay, white guy, 47, great shape, pretty, like, full on Trumper. And it doesn't come off like one in any way, shape, or form. Is very one of the only straight dudes who's ever found out about my transness and did not treat me differently. I didn't even know he knew that. And like, that's super rare. I don't know if that's ever happened where someone has, been filled in or whatever, or I've come out and they've not changed the way that they've treated me, but is still a Trumper. And we had a conversation maybe 2 weeks ago, and it was around the tax refund we got as servers because $25,000 of our tips weren't taxed. And so we got bigger refunds this year. And he was kind of telling me, like, why wouldn't you? Of course I'd vote for him because of this. And I looked at him and I was like, I would never vote for him, even if it lined my pockets. And he's like, huh? I was like, no. On a moral basis, this person should not be running the country. I do not care if my tax refund is twice as big as it was last year. I just don't care. That does not make it better. It doesn't. And he was shocked that was my opinion. And I wanted to be like, dude, I can't get a passport. Like, I can't get one. There's been thousands of anti-trans bills in the last 5 years since the first time he became president. I mean, it's endless. And I'm not even the most hated community right now. I mean, I can't imagine being someone who's POC or an immigrant in this country right now and the fear that they live on. I feel lucky to walk around like I do because I'm, for most of the time, pretty safe. But at the end of the day, I'm definitely on some sort of list where the shit doesn't match. And, so to have him be like, oh, but wouldn't you do that because you got a tax refund this year? It's like, no, no, I would not do this for this one tiny thing.
And this is why I think representation is important, because it comes with an educational component. A lot of people see, queer issues, Black issues, immigration issues as things that are over there. And I'm not voting for that over there. I'm voting for this tax refund over here. But most of Congress ties all of that together. If you vote for this, you're voting for that. So you need to. It requires a very educated voter to say, yes, I would love to have an extra $2,500 in my pocket. But
sure.
if it means that all these other people have to go to a concentration camp for the next 30 years so that I can have $2,500 today and I'm going to spend on a brand new TV and have nothing to show for it, then yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
He's raped every girl in DC, but I'm going to vote for him to stay
because
another 4 years
refund.
because I get a tax. Republicans are very good at framing it. Not even Republicans. MAGA Republicans are very good at framing things.
And those are two
in
different
that manner.
things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like the MAGA communities is all about that. And, there's this big idea of bringing God back into politics. And it's like, you do not represent any type of faith if you follow somebody who has been convicted of 34 counts of sexual assault.
Exactly. So it's anyway, we've gone off on a tangent.
I know we went off on a tangent, but it made sense. And the weird thing is we're very in line to this week with our stories, because my second story is a sexual misconduct case.
Go for it.
About a graduation. So there is a family feud And I think the way that the university handled it was very interesting. But it was and also being an American, I don't know how sexual assault is handled in it looks like in Taiwan. So I'm not sure how this was handled. I'm
Aren't you
assuming,
just a typical American? You should know this.
but this feud, they ended up canceling the entire graduation. So at Chai University, at the graduation ceremony, there was two families, a daughter and a son. So family A and family B. Daughter's family A, son is family B, were involved in a Title IX style sexual misconduct case, which I believed was sexual assault. And so when the family A, the daughter, saw that family B was still invited to, and the son was still invited to participate in the ceremony during an ongoing case, they they immediately went to school officials and tried to mediate it so that family B had to leave. Not that he couldn't graduate, but they couldn't participate on the same stage as their daughter. And the family B refused to leave. The son refused to leave. They said he had a right to attend and a right to attend the graduation. While the school tried to mediate for 2 hours, it didn't work. And then the university ended up canceling the entire graduation for everyone, not just for the two kids or the two people involved, but the entire graduation was canceled due to the situation. And I think a lot of people lost in that situation.
Wow.
I know, crazy.
So I have a few thoughts.
Hit me.
Well done. Okay, so my initial reaction is I think the school, in the long run, I think the school has made the right decision by saying this is that important.
Okay.
It's kind of like what we were just talking about, the whole Trump situation. It is that important to make sure that we don't showcase someone who was physically assaulting someone on the same stage as the victim. So if we can't find a solution here and you're going to show up and show out, you're going to cause a scene because my son should be here and he's entitled, then we're not going to have it, because now we're going to cause more damage to our school, saying that we support this individual having the same access regardless of his circumstance, or more so regardless of her circumstance, right? We can't pluck her out of normality because the perpetrator, wants to participate in the same space. So I think that in the moment, you're absolutely correct. A lot of people lost out because these individuals could not see that. Also, I want to say that I think that the parents and that kid were probably, my son's innocent and whatnot. Whether he's innocent or not, I don't know. But I would say going to a graduation with that cloud over my head, I wouldn't do that. Like, why would you want to show up at a graduation knowing that people think you've raped this young lady that is 2 rows in front of you?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And I think it shows to a level of not caring if she's comfortable, right? So it's like, we're all going to show up. We don't believe that he did this, and whether or not he did or didn't, and you really don't know, right? You're trusting him.
Well, are we showing the same level of callousness that the son is showing?
A little
right?
bit.
If the son has raped this young lady and is like, I don't care, I did it, but you can't prove it, are the parents now saying, I believe my son enough to know that I don't care how she feels.
Mm-hmm.
We're showing up, and if it's another sting for her, then too bad, so sad. Then she could not show up to it's a double hitter.
Well, it's a double, because you also have to go back to the fact that there's different cultures in different places, right? So obviously, while rape is a culture here is deemed as negative and not seen as something that we should be doing, it's also not treated with, I think the gloves that it should be. It's not prosecuted in the way that it should be. It's not reported enough in the way that the victims deserve a safe space to do it. But in other places, I do, there are different standards on which women are treated. So it's like, is that also a factor here? Are we in a place where her reporting it is such a bigger deal because maybe she's going to be seen as not only not a victim, but also a part of the problem, right? And is that why this family just does not care and are going to show up anyways, whether or not he did it? Doesn't matter. She's part of the problem. She shouldn't
Yeah, I
have
think
been there. It was her fault.
allegations alone would be sufficient for someone to sit out graduation. Not you don't have to require them to do it, but hey, you are going through this thing. We recommend that you not show up. Oh well, we're
You still
showing up
get to
anyway.
graduate.
Then we right. You still get to graduate. We can't take that from you, but
Totally.
because you've completed it, right? You get your certificate. You're not still going through. You don't have to withdraw from school, but maybe there's a private ceremony for you. Maybe there's something different. You're in trouble, dude. Like there something has to happen differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Something has to happen differently. And that's, yeah. And, I do think that while the school may have handled it in the moment in the way that seemed to kind of, showcase like their support for the girl involved, I do believe that if they really wanted to handle it, they would have made it very clear from the beginning that he was not invited, that he was not going to walk. I don't think that was like from the way that it reads. I don't think that was a conversation.
Oh, you think
Um,
they were trying to convince him not to show up as opposed to saying you will
I
not
don't.
show up?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I think it was more. I don't. I mean, from where I would stand, if my entire family got invited to this thing and I was like, I'm going to walk across the stage, I probably had no concern of whether or not I was allowed to.
Fair
Because
point.
it would have been in a conversation before then. They're not letting me walk. Okay, we're going to address this. Nope, no, you're not going to walk. Or, get security involved. Hey, you're not walking. You're not welcome here. You were told this from before. This is too big of an issue. We're taking this misconduct seriously. The case is not unresolved. And because of that, you're not welcome.
Now that you say that, I wonder if that could have been the option, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have police be ready to escort the gentleman out and away because they're assigned seating, right? He shows
Yeah.
up, we know exactly where you are.
Bye.
If you're in the building, you have to be well positioned in the building to be able to walk. You can't just be seated in the audience and then, well, I guess you could hop the fence at the right time, but even that causes a commotion. So I think while drastic, maybe there was an alter. I don't.
It sounded like there was an altercation. Like it became like a huge multi-hour situation that they could not resolve, and the resolution was just to cancel the whole thing. Which, at the end of the day, I mean, they
I
didn't
think
handle it
visceral,
properly.
visceral, but correct. I think visceral, but correct.
Yeah, visceral but correct. And yeah, it is disappointing for the other people who did not get to graduate and the people whose families traveled to see that. At the end of the day, you all still graduated. It is a celebration. Go celebrate with your families. And, maybe now this girl doesn't have to kind of remember that this kid sat behind her or in front of her and got to experience something that she lost the joy of in that moment.
Me as a parent, if someone said, "Hey, we're going to cancel graduation. Your kid doesn't get to walk because there's some sort of a sexual assault situation that we're trying to mitigate," but I'd be like, "Okay, all right,
Okay, let's go get
yeah,
dinner.
I'm okay. We're going to take some photo shoots outside of the school and we'll find a way, right?" Because the reason I say that is because graduation season, by the time the show airs, will have passed just shortly ago. Not everyone can attend graduation, right? There are 5 tickets. You've got a family of 50. What do you do in those circumstances, right? Your family is still showing up. They're not going to the graduation, but we're coming to your house. We're
You're
coming
gonna
to the
celebrate.
banquet. We're coming to whatever party, after party. That's our graduation celebration moment. We don't have to see you walk across the stage. Somebody recorded it. We're going to put it up on the big screen. We're going to watch it. We're good. I didn't have to sit through 2.5 hours of people walking and commencement speeches. I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. That's so true. It's like,
Yeah. All right. Let's celebrate. All right, August, give us our good vibes, our fuck around and find out moment.
Okay, this is actually not a fuck around and find moment because I'm going to be talking about Bo's graduation. She is going to be. It's my first graduation as a parent, and it happens to be on my birthday, which will be pretty soon after this comes out. So I just thought that was
Well,
kind of
it's
a
still
fun.
fuck around and find out. Fuck around and find out is fuck around and find out the good things.
Yeah, this is. Oh, I love that switch. Fuck around and find out the good things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a big plan for my birthday, and then I found out that her graduation was going to be that morning, so I had canceled it, and I'm so excited to watch her do it, and it'll be the
Wait, when
first
is
of
graduation?
hers is late, June 30th.
Oh,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
exciting! And
it's
it's
so
your
exciting.
birthday for
And it's my
everyone.
birthday.
Make sure to in the comment section of this video, make sure to wish August
Yeah,
a happy birthday.
come say hi. I'm getting older, guys.
He's 29 this year.
Mm-mm. Not quite. That one passed.
Plus or
January.
minus a
Plus
couple
or
years.
minus 3. We're fine. Everything's fine, guys. I'm surviving. I'm in my 30s. It's fine.
Get some wine.
Get
No,
some
that's
wine, have
awesome.
some good dinner. But I'm excited. I get to celebrate her, and we just yesterday we just went to the beach for the first time, and it was the first of the year, and it was just we sometimes I think we kind of get stuck in the slog of life, but then we take these tiny moments, and I'm excited to celebrate her on a day that I also get to celebrate me.
Yay! That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, I tell since you're talking about your kid, my kid turned 13 in May, and also last day of school was also in May. It's like May 22nd.
Oh, you got 2 days left.
Yes. So at the time of recording this, we're in May. So 2 days from now, he will be out of school. But we're going on vacation at the end of the month, so I'm excited about that.
So
But he's a
excited.
newly minted 13-year-old, and the moodiness came in overnight. I don't know what happened. He is like I was talking to him yesterday. I was
13.
like, I keep asking you if everything's okay because that's how your face is right now. And he's like, oh, it's like, yeah. So if I keep asking you that and you keep saying everything's okay and you don't want me asking you if everything's okay, you need to be very aware of your face.
Like, you have RBF, my bud.
Well, I didn't say that.
Yeah. I'm inferring. Yeah, that's hilarious. I swear when Bo turned 3, she went from 3 to 13, so I can't imagine what 13's like.
Up
Oh,
another level.
it's up a whole other level. The sassiness is unreal. And like they're going through such a wild physiological time at that age too. Like that face is not their fault. It's just a
True.
part of it.
True. All right, August, take us out. Tell the people where they can find us and what they should do every time that they find us and see us on Certified Bad Example.
All right. Thank you so much, Jamil. Guys, this is Certified Bad Example. We are on Instagram. We are on all the podcasting platforms. We're on YouTube. You should go. You should subscribe. You should like a podcast. Comment your thoughts. What would you do differently? We are here to listen. We want to know. Thank you very much. And we hope to see you kind of scrolling on our feed soon.
See you next time. Peace.